Hi, it's Jane Mason here from Virtuous Bread, and here we are in my Mexican kitchen. And I am making a series of videos to go along with my amazing book called Mexico, the World Vegetarian, which, as it says on the cover, is a cookbook of Mexican food, specifically Mexican vegetarian food. And there are some basics of Mexican food that you really want to know how to do in order to cook Mexican food well. And one of them is how to cook beans. So in this video, I'm going to show you how to cook beans and talk you through some of your alternatives and some of your options. Now, beans are a terrific source of protein, plant protein, and I am not kidding when I say that in Mexico, most people probably eat beans every day of their life, maybe even 2 or 3 times a day. There are lots of different kinds of beans. If you go to a market, especially in the countryside, you'll see these beautiful market stalls with 10, 15, 20 different kinds of beans. They eat different beans in different regions of Mexico. So the south tends to black beans, very dark beans. In the middle of the country, we've got sort of brown beans. There are lots of really cute beans that are like black and white or brown and white, and they look like little mini cows. And up in the north, the beans tend to be a little bit paler. They can be big, they can be small, tons of different kinds of beans. In general, the darker the bean, the gassier it makes you. And I'm really truly serious about that. So if you're new to beans, you want to do a couple of things. One is you really want to make sure that you cook them properly. The other one is you want to make sure that you kind of alkalinize the water in some way, which I'll talk about, in order, again, to make them a bit more digestible. And start with lighter beans, okay? So start with beans that are white or very pale green, and try to avoid the dark beans, especially try to avoid kidney beans. They have a really thick skin that can be hard to digest. Try to avoid at first the black beans. Again, they can make you pretty gassy. And just start by eating very, very, very small quantities, okay? And if they do make you gassy, see if you can persevere. Now, some people really can't digest beans. They really have trouble with them. And, don't make yourself uncomfortable, but if you can get used to digesting beans, if they're new to you, it might be difficult, do try. Now, the other thing, of course, that you can do is you can go for chickpeas, or you can go for lentils or split peas. So there are lots of varieties of wonderful plant-based protein. So moving straight along, what I'm going to do is show you today how we would cook beans here in Mexico. So I'm going to move the camera down, okay? And what have we got here? We've got the beans. And these are super pale beans. I don't even know what they're called. Seriously, I have no idea. They're pale green beans, but they're not like green beans. And I have soaked them overnight in water. Okay, very, very important to soak dried beans. Now, of course, you can buy beans in a tin. Of course you can. However, a couple things. One, they're way more expensive. And 2, they're super heavy. You have to carry all these cans, and 3, you have all that garbage to deal with. Whereas a bag of dried beans is really economical, and you just need to remember that you soak them before you use them, and you always soak them in cold water. Okay, so bowl, and as they absorb the water, just keep an eye on them. If you need to add more water, do so. Put them in plenty of water and let them sit overnight, or for 24 hours. So that's thing number 1. I've got my beans. And what else have I got here? I have got garlic, I've got onion, I'll get to this in a second, I've got some cumin, very important in Mexican beans, I've got some cloves, super important, I have some salt, I have some fresh water. Now, this is a piece of kombu. No, not Mexican. And what this does is it helps to alkalinize the water and makes the beans more digestible. The reason I'm showing this to you is because in Mexico, we use a fresh herb called epazote. And I have never seen it outside of Mexico, although there's no reason why it wouldn't grow if you can get seeds and you're allowed to, bring it into your home country. Then epazote is what we use here. And epazote is a bright green herb. It's very pungent, so you don't really ever eat it raw. And when you cook with it, you do so sparingly. if you cannot get epazote, and if you live outside of Mexico, it's likely you can't, you can probably get kombu at an Asian store that sells Japanese goods. The other thing you can use is a little bit, just like a pinch of asafoetida, which is what is used in South Asian cooking. Kombu, asafoetida, and epazote, they all do the same thing. They all alkalinize the water and they make the beans easier to digest. And epazote adds a really great flavor, okay? Whereas kombu and asafoetida don't really add flavor, but they do have a function, okay? So I'm gonna use this today, and because it's, as I say, likely that a lot of you who don't live in Mexico, who are new to cooking beans, can get this. Unlikely that you can get fresh epazote. If you can get it dried, you really need to put it into a little, like a bag that you would use, a mesh bag. If you've ever done any pickling and you have to put the pickling spices into a mesh bag, you want to do that because the dried epazote leaves are really coarse. They're small, they're super hard to pick out of the beans, and you don't want to eat them because they don't soften. Okay, so they're nasty. So if you have to use dried epazote as a kind of, you know, last resort, see if you can get a little muslin bag and put that in the beans, and then you can just remove that and throw them all away. Not the bag, just the epazote. Okay, so what I'm gonna do now is I'm using a pressure cooker. This, if you're gonna be cooking a lot of beans, is a great investment. Why? You cook things more quickly. You lose less vitamins through the steam, and you actually use less energy, less gas or less electricity, because you can turn the heat down very, very, very low and maintain the pressure in the pot and use that very low temperature, low amount of energy for a longer period of time. So you can do lots of things in the pressure cooker, not just beans. You can buy whole cookbooks. You can probably make cakes. I've never done it, but I bet you can. So pressure cooker is a great investment. And as I say, if you're embarking on a journey of vegetarian or veganism and you're gonna be eating a lot of beans, really it's a great investment. Okay, so my pressure cooker is on the stove. I'm going to take my beans, I'm gonna drain them. Super important, don't use the water in which you've soaked your beans to cook them, okay? Because you're kind of pulling out some of the gassiness in this water, and you do want to drain them. And then rinse them. So I'm gonna do that now. Hang on. Okay, draining and rinsing. Ooh, a couple beans, great. Now I'm gonna pop these in my pressure cooker. Now, next, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna add my kombu into the pressure cooker, there. I am going to add my onion, and you don't need to worry too much. Hang on one second, looking for a knife. About artistry here, because you will throw the onion away. So best if you leave it in big chunks. Okay, onion gets used, yay, thank you onion, and gets thrown away. It's just for flavor. Now, the other thing with the garlic, all I'm gonna do is squash the garlic and throw it in. A couple cloves of garlic. Again, don't worry about artistry here. You're throwing the garlic away. So keep the pieces whole. Just squash them so the flavor can come out. Then I'm going to put in about a teaspoon of cloves in. Don't worry about those because they get really small and really soft and you don't notice them and they're not unpleasant. And I'm going to put in maximum 2 cloves. I will try and find them and fish them out when the beans are cooked. If you like things very clovey, you could put in a few more, but my suggestion is work your way up. You maybe start with 1 clove. If you don't taste it, then maybe add 2. You know, unless I'm making a big vat of beans, I would rarely go above 3 cloves. They're super pungent, and you can really tell when something's over-cloved. And then what I'm gonna do is put in a pinch of salt, maybe 2. Not a lot. You can always salt them after, but it is quite nice to have the beans cooking in a little bit of salt. It does add flavor. And some people are worried that it can toughen the skin or things get saltier when they're cooked under pressure, and all of that is true. So just at this point, be very sparing with the salt. Then what I'm gonna do is add water. Now I've soaked my beans, but I wanna make sure they're well covered in water. I'm not comfortable that that's enough water, so let me just get a bit more. And again, using cold water here, pop that in. So you want to make sure your beans are well covered, you know, with a nice few centimeters of water. And that's it, okay? I'm not going to do any more. I'm not going to add carrots. I'm not going to add celery. If I was making a bean soup, then maybe I wanted to do that, but I'm just making beans, okay? And remember, when they're done, I'm going to drain them. Now, you can save that bean water and you can use it as fantastic stock for a soup, okay? It's super nutritious, it's really yummy, and it makes wonderful stock for soup. But the onion, throw it away, has no flavor left, all the yumminess and all the goodness is taken out. The garlic cloves, throw away. The epazote, if you're using it, throw it away. The kombu, throw it away. And in the end, you will have delicious and super healthy beans. So I'm gonna do that. That is Basic Beans, Beans 101. This video is part of a series that goes along with my cookbook, Mexico, the World Vegetarian. And I hope that you are enjoying the videos, and I hope that you're enjoying the book. Any questions? Send me an email, jane@virtuousbread.com. Bye for now.